gift exclusion is going up for 2024? Hi, I'm Alec Osland, an attorney at Yanowitz Law Firm, where we've been assisting families with wills, trusts, and probate for the last 30 years. In 2024, the gift exclusion is going up to $18,000. This last year, it was $17,000. So, what does that mean? What do you mean gift exclusion? So, in 2024, you are able to give another individual up to $18,000 in the calendar year worth of gifts without having to report it to the IRS. So you can essentially write a check to someone for $18,000. Now I get the question of, so does that mean I can only give $18,000 worth of gifts in total? And the answer is no. You can give $18,000 in gifts to only one individual, but you can give another $18,000 in gifts to as many other individuals as you want. So you can essentially, if you have a lot of gifts you want to make, as long as they're under $18,000, you do not have to tell the IRS about these gifts. If you want to make a gift over $18,000, you have to do a gift tax return. That's IRS Form 709. So not a big deal if you have to do a gift tax return. For married couples, you can actually pass 2 times the exemption to the intended beneficiary. So a married couple, if they have an intended beneficiary, they can each pass $18,000 to one individual. If they're doing that, they want to only write one check for, say, approximately $36,000 or anything under that, that we want to make sure if it's a joint account that both spouses sign the check. If we want it to come from separate accounts that are owned by the separate spouses, then they can each sign their own respective check for that $18,000. But if it's coming from a joint account and it's over the $18,000 threshold, then we want to make sure we have both spouses signing that check. If we have a married couple and they'd like to pass assets to another married couple, for example, if they have a child and that child is married, the married couple can give $36,000 to each of the other individuals. So a married couple can essentially pass $72,000 to another married couple. Nothing has to be reported to the IRS. I keep mentioning reporting to the IRS. So what does that mean? What do you mean by reporting to the IRS? So the current federal exemption level is $12.92 million for 2023. And so how gifting works is that anything over the $18,000 has to be reported on that gift tax return that I discussed. And with that gift tax return, it's essentially we're telling the IRS, hey, I used part of my exemption. So for easy math, because I'm not an accountant, like I said, the current exemption is $12.92 million. So say we had Bob made a gift to Sally in the value of $1,017,000 in 2023. Well, there's a $17,000 exemption, so he would have made a gift that is $1 million over that exemption. So Bob would have utilized $1 million worth of his exemption. With gifting, generally speaking, unless you have a large amount of assets and you're gifting a large amount of assets, no tax is going to be owed as long as you are making gifts of excess of $12.92 million over that exclusion amount. So it's just we have to file that gift tax return with the IRS and let them know about it. The IRS and the federal government, they have a lifelong memory. So memory like an elephant, where even if you made gifts 60 years ago and filed that gift tax return, they're going to always remember all of the gifts that you make. So they're going to look at everything in totality so that when you pass away and when determining where are you at for the federal state tax level, because all of those gifts that you filed that gift tax return on, those are going to be deducted from the current level. In the state of Minnesota, Minnesota does not have a memory like an elephant. We have a 5-year memory for Minnesota. So Minnesota has an estate tax currently of $3 million. So any gifts that you make in the previous, if it's been less than 5 years when you pass away, those gifts are pulled back into your estate when we look at the value and determining if we owe Minnesota estate tax. If you make gifts that are at least 5 years old prior to when you pass away, then those gifts are not pulled back into your estate for when we determine if we're going to have estate tax due for Minnesota. So it's very important to look at things, what the current legislation is, how much is a net worth when we think of, okay, does it make sense to start gifting assets? And you may have the question of, why does someone want to gift assets? Well, they may want to gift assets because they may not need them at this stage of their life. Maybe they think it makes more sense to pass some money along to the kids or other family members while they're alive instead of waiting for when you pass away. Maybe they want to see the beneficiaries use that money while they're alive, and so they can be around and they can be thanked while they're living. We are worried about estate taxes, specifically in Minnesota. We may want to start gifting large amount of assets sooner rather than later, just to start that 5-year window. And then we may hope that we've made all the gifts and we survive 5 years. Our estate is much smaller than it was when maybe we had an estate tax issue before we started gifting. Now that we gifted a lot of assets, we've lived a number of years after that, we don't have an estate tax issue. If you are interested in gifting or finding more out about estate planning, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel to find out when we post another video. Thanks. Have a great day. Bye.